Hello, hello. It is Candice Dickinson, Artistic Director here at HART Theater, and I am so excited to be doing our first director's interview of the 2024 main stage season. I am sitting here with Kristen Freeze, Director of Secret Garden, which will be playing at HART May 10th through June 2nd, and we're about to learn a little more about this incredible production. So Kristen, first I want to talk about what drew you to this show, what it means to you, why you decided you wanted to direct it.
Well, this is a pretty simple answer for me. So when I was a kid, my favorite book was The Secret Garden. And this is actually the actual book
I love it.
that my mom gave me over the holidays. She said, "Here, take it." You can see it was $2.95 back then.
Oh, gosh. Don't you wish?
I read a lot of child-sized, I guess, novels when I was little, when I was sick. I was sick a lot as a child, so some of my memories of reading these books are with a fever. And so I think that I had like the spirit of Mary, but I had the sympathy of Colin, because I was often sitting in a bed, reading it. But it was my favorite story, and it stayed with me through movie versions as they came about. And then when I was in high school, I think it was around 1991, we were in New York and we got to see the original Broadway production. And we didn't know what to expect. There were no, YouTube videos and previews back then. There was no internet.
Yeah.
There was nothing. So it was literally like, some of the bigger musicals, we knew what they were going to sound like Les Mis or Phantom, but it was like, we just knew it was The Secret Garden. We knew what the story was going to be, but we didn't know what else to expect. And a couple of years before that, we had been watching Phantom of the Opera, and that night they announced the understudy was going to go on to play Christine. Well, that understudy happened to be Rebecca Luker.
Oh my God.
And we didn't know who Rebecca Luker was, but that night we saw her play Christine, and it was like, oh my goodness, she was incredible. And I remember we got to like meet her at the stage door. Back then things weren't so policed. And so a couple years later, we're getting ready to see The Secret Garden, and we open up the playbill and it says Rebecca Luker. We're like, that sounds really familiar.
Oh my God,
and then she walked out on the stage and started to sing, and we just knew who she was immediately. And since that day, throughout my entire career, she's always been my favorite Broadway soprano.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that was extremely special. The other thing about it was that it was a woman team, the book writing, music, lyrics book. And I think that was very powerful for me as a woman, a young woman. And then there was the end of the show where I still never forget it, the reveal of the garden. I can't even describe it because it's so unique. But it stopped the audience, and they were clapping, and I had tears in my eyes. And it's one of those moments I'll never forget in theater, where you wait so long to see something, and then when you do, it's so special.
The payoff is amazing.
Incredible. So I think this musical has followed me my whole life, but it's never come my way. I've never been in a place where someone was doing it. And I knew the music and had it pretty much memorized. I mean, it was a part of my life as a performer and as a pianist. Like, I knew all the songs, and working with students over the years in voice, we'd explored a lot of the songs.
Yeah.
And so,
Beautiful music.
it was such an easy thing. It was all of a sudden that we were talking about options for the new season, and it was one of the titles that was thrown out, and for me it was just like putting on pajamas. I was like, okay, yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, it was so exciting. Well, speaking of that, there have been a lot of productions of this, and movies, plays, musicals, of course, this musical. So tell us a little bit about your concept for this show. What makes this production different than something someone might have already seen at The Secret Garden?
Yeah, well, if you have already seen the musical, then you would have an idea of its concept, but mine is still a little bit off of course of that. If you are someone who comes to this production from knowing a movie or just the book and you don't know the music at all, which, by the way, I believe personally, in my opinion, is the most beautiful music I've ever
It's so beautiful.
heard in a musical.
Yeah, it really is.
Written by Lucy Simon, who happens to be the sister of Carly Simon.
I didn't know that.
Very different.
I love that.
Very
Very
different
different music, not Carly Simon music.
Yeah, it's a tinge on the edge of opera at
Yeah.
moments, and then the next moment you're in a folk song. It's just perfect. So how is my concept or whatever a little different? So if you are a book person for Secret Garden, you have certain movie versions you love, the core of the story, you're going to get all that. It's exactly the same. It's been streamlined a little bit as a musical, so there's a couple of characters that you might miss, like Sarah Sowerby, Dickon and Martha's mother. But her wisdom and things are very much infused in other characters like Martha and Dickon. My concept for this show came from looking at a line in the script that is, well, two lines. It's between Archibald and Mary, and she says, I want to know what happens when people die. Do they become ghosts? And Archibald says they're only a ghost if someone alive is still holding on to them. And so, regardless of what we all think about ghosts or spirits in the real world, I decided to say, well, this is the story.
Yeah.
So let's take that as truth and say that's the deal. So I thought about that, and I thought about grief and grieving situations that I've personally been through in my own life. And for me, it was looking at Archibald's character, because he's been holding on to this grief so hard for 10 years. He literally can't function.
Yeah.
He cannot accept it. He's so angry that this happened. And so it's a point in the story where things are suffering because of it. So I started thinking about grief and how in my own life it's the most complicated relationships or the difficult deaths, the ones that don't have closure. You didn't get to say goodbye, or you were at odds with that person. Those are harder to grieve than relationships where it was like the most cherished person in your life. It's hard to think that that's possible, but in my experience, I could identify with Archibald as an adult and understand his pain a little better in recent years than I might have when I was younger.
Yeah.
So I thought about, I was like, okay, we have all these amazing women in this area. We've got some amazing men too, but we have a lot of powerhouse women performers. And so I decided to take a little bit of a twist with the script and say Mary's pain comes from the fact that as a little girl, she's ignored by her mother. And in modern day times, I could say that her mother Rose probably had postpartum. And she was from an era where women, I think this is still true some today, but women were raised to be pretty and smell good. And so if you talk about the parts of womanhood that are messy and gross, one would be childbearing and birth giving.
Yeah.
And Rose is just very unable to do that. And so you have this child who's
No connection.
nothing,
Yeah.
raised by a servant,
Yeah.
in their minds, a servant. So in the beginning of the show, everyone dies. They're in India, and everyone dies except for Mary. So my concept is that there are these women who are there in India. They're with her mother Rose. They're all partying, having a good time, all socialites and fun. And they're almost more childlike than she is. They're skipping around and they're dancing and having fun. And the mother's saying, no, don't look at us. Mary goes and she lays down in her tent. So you see this imbalance. So when they die, my idea about grief that's complex, grief that's hard to resolve in difficult relationships, it made sense that not only would Mary's mother, but her friends attach themselves to Mary because she's the only one left.
Yeah.
And that's why they come to Yorkshire. That's why they follow her there. And when they get there, they realize what is going on. They realize why Mary's the way she was. And Rose has this huge journey in her own death where she gets to finally understand her child and what happened. And the dreamers, as they're called, the other spirits they're this powerhouse group of women, and they're so amazing. They've all written backstories for their characters. They know exactly how they fit in, and so you see them wrestling with all of this, that there's still a lesson, there's a way to still heal something even in death. So
that's so beautiful.
usually you have all these men in the mix, and I kind of went all women, basically. And I wanted to say, let's heal the maternal line.
Yeah.
Because that's how Mary heals. So basically, in Act 1, Mary is the one being healed, and then Act 2, she becomes the healer. Yeah. And so that's the journey. And that's how we're trying to sort of, with concept, with set, with everything, with blocking, trying to tell the story in that way.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, tell me a little bit, tell me what your favorite part is, whether it's, you know, a moment in the show, a moment of the process.
And I just said in The Secret Garden before I ever directed it, what is my favorite? It's always been the song Wick.
Yeah.
It's a duet between Dickon and Mary, where Mary's very downtrodden at the beginning about that fact that she doesn't understand that the garden is not dead. It just looks dead. And so Dickon says, but I can tell when a thing is wick, and wick means that there's life in it. And they sing this amazing duet. And it's just always been my favorite song in the show, my favorite moment. It's about looking at something that looks curled over and decrepit in a way, and sullen, which matches Archibald, which matches Colin, and going, no, it's Wick. There's life in there. And that's that transformative moment for her, which allows her to literally transform the two of them.
That's amazing.
Not only the garden. But if I have a favorite moment in this show, I think I always go to, it's Mary in Act 2 when there's a school mistress who's come to try and take her off to boarding school, and she's determined not to happen. And the only way she can get out of it is to convince this lady that she's gone crazy. It's the only thing that would make it go away, because there's money, there's bribes, all kinds of things involved. And so she has this really funny fake mad scene where she's pretending to like curse her, and she's running all over the stage, and then she falls at her feet, and then she just does this hilarious Yorkshire slogan out of nowhere. And it's just such a wonderful moment working with Caroline, who plays Mary. She's such a sponge. She'll try anything.
I know.
She's really making me love that moment. Right now, I think that might be my favorite one.
Oh my gosh, they are such a hoot. We just did promotional photos right before this, and oh my gosh, Caroline and Garrick, who play Colin and Mary, are just such a hoot. And I mean, all the talent in this show is incredible. You talking about Wick, I cannot wait to hear Noah Sheets sing that song. His voice is just heavenly. It's so good. I know that all the leads are just beautiful. I can't wait to hear this music.
Oh
yeah. So, talk about this is a really huge musical. It's very challenging in many ways, for the singers, for the performances, for the sets, for everything, for the director. So, tell us about what's been your biggest challenge with this show.
Okay, so the one challenge up front is just casting it.
For sure.
You have to cast it off the singing first. Certain shows have different sort of levels of,
but this one you have to be trained.
It's so difficult
it's very
vocally.
difficult.
You have to go with your strongest singers. With that comes varieties in stage experience. So you have people who are like seasoned professionals for 25 years, going in and out of professional theaters, opera singers, and then you've got people who love singing and have a gorgeous classical voice, but most of their experience is maybe in a choral setting. So you've got people all matched up really evenly vocally who have varied levels of stage experience. So that's been really interesting to explore and a lot of fun, and to see actors feel challenged and to come up to you and say, I don't know what to do with my hands. What are these weird things in front of me?
Yeah, exactly.
And just to be able to sort of give that mentorship or that coaching or just that encouragement, say, hey, just try it, open your arms, open your body, and to see them do that, it's really exciting to see from a craft side of it.
You're so great at that too. I mean, I got to work with Kristen, of course, in Little Women, and you're just so great at that as a director of really helping people along the journey, giving great notes. It's a rare gift. So
Thank you. I feel like we kind of started, like I said, the map of learning was sort of in a lot of different places, and we kind of started like, this.
Yeah.
But I feel like we're already about here. We still have 2 weeks to go, so
it's gonna.
I'm feeling
y'all
really
are in a great
excited.
spot.
The other side of it, challenge, the first 12 pages of this show, we go from India to King's Cross Station, to getting on a train, to going to the Yorkshire train station, to getting on a stagecoach, to traveling across the moor, to getting to arrive at the outside of the manor, to entering the manor, sending Mary to her room, and then traipsing across staircases looking for ghosts. 12 pages. 10 locations.
Oh my god.
So I was like, how do we do this? Because it's not like they wrote scene change music. It's not a Rodgers and Hammerstein.
Yeah.
Close the curtain. So it's like, how do you keep changing the location that many times? I mean, I keep telling my cast, even today we were staging the scene changes. I was like, don't run away. I know this first hour is going to feel intense, but I promise you, if we can get past the first 12 pages,
it's not like this the whole time.
This will feel a lot more, normal. So, so I was trying to figure out how that is such a challenge. Like, how do you create so many spaces, and sometimes have to change them in the middle of a song several times. So I kind of thought, okay, if we try to go too literal with the set pieces, we're going to be in trouble, because we can't create that many, first of all, and we can't move them fast enough. So I came at this idea of these rotating staircases, which you know very well, and they can be configured in a lot of different ways. They can work independently, they can come together, they can work on 90-degree angles, they can do all kinds of things. And so that allowed me to say, what is the shape of the room? What is the shape of the garden? And so sometimes they are used as staircases, sometimes they're used as shapes of walls, or both. Yeah. And then to say, okay, how can we bring in a realistic element so the audience is going, well, not going, where am I? Yeah. And so we have this beautiful projector here. It's wonderful. It's so powerful. And so it's like, okay, we can be realistic about settings by using projections. So I can see a realistic train, I can see the inside of a library, I can see ruins on the grounds, and so I have a combination of something stylized and representational moving around, creating shapes of rooms, while having a realistic slide or projection all across the backdrop of a real life photo. And so it was coming up with how to put those together, I think, was the biggest challenge. And, today was the first time we went through actually trying it, and I think we're going to probably get there.
For sure.
I mean, it's wild.
Yeah, it sounds like it went great today, and it's only up from here, It's only gonna
I know, and they didn't run out, they didn't run away. So I think that's a good sign.
That's great. Well, I'm so happy that you overcame those challenges. There's always so many in theater, and I just know this is going to be such an amazing production. So let's, I think we've already talked about a lot of things that are really exciting. And so I want you to kind of just spell it out, though, for the people at home. Why should they come and see this production of Secret Garden?
This production of Secret Garden is hyper-focused on telling the story and making connections. I told my cast one night, if we took away all the beautiful costumes, we took away the set, and just every component, and I put you in black sweatsuit and had you sit on your hands on just a actor's box, you should be able to tell the story. And so there's always been, as much as we are bringing spectacle and wonder and visual and all that to it, and gorgeous choreography by Jillian Adams, amazing music direction by Kelly Jackson. But at the end of the day, if we took all those pieces away, you should just be able to look at each other, connect, and tell the story, and it be enough. So that has always sort of been in the front. and it continues to be the focus the more complicated this gets. So you're going to have your heart on your sleeve. These people have their heart on their sleeve. They're passionate about the story. And on top of that, you're going to hear incredible singing. I mean, these voices, you would not believe, you just wouldn't believe it. You think that we brought all of them in from New York or LA or wherever, all the big houses.
It's always incredible, the talent that we have in this region. We're so lucky here.
So you're going to hear some incredible music. If you've never heard the music of The Secret Garden,
you're going to
musical,
fall in love with it. I mean, it's just
incredible. Come if it's just to hear the music and nothing more. I mean,
exactly.
But we are going to try to give you a really beautiful visual experience
I
as
think
well.
so. And it ends on a very hopeful note too. So
it is the most wonderful.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a story that's about hope and healing and absolute joy after working through, you know, the hard things in life. That's like we're always trying to get to that joy, and they do finally get
it.
Get it.
I know it is. It's so feel good, but it has all of the range of emotions, and it's just a wonderful show, and I can't wait for y'all to see it. I can't wait to see it on Tech Week. And we invite you, we have a few special things happening with this show as well. So opening weekend, you're going to have a hard time choosing which day to come to, because on opening night, we are going to have a pre-show party with a cocktail hour. We're going to open our bar, but we are also going to partner with Roll Up Herbal Bar, which has non-alcoholic craft cocktails. They use a lot of florals in their cocktails. We invite you to come dressed in your best florals for the Secret Garden. We're going to have a beautiful lobby display in partnership with the Haywood County Arts Council. And so come for the hour before, get some drinks, mingle, enjoy the show. And because we are opening on Mother's Day weekend, if you decide to come to the show on Mother's Day, the Sunday of opening weekend, every mother that comes gets a free glass of wine as a little thank you and love you from Heart to your moms. So bring your mom and have a great time and be just a wonderful, wonderful show. So May 10th through June 2nd, tickets on sale now, Heart Theater. We can't wait to see you guys there. Thank you so much, Kristen.
Thank you, Candice.
Yeah. Bye, guys.